Hello, my friends. This is Renee Mishlevich, the Zesty Life Mentor, and I want to welcome you to your very first class in the Chaos to Order program. So this is the number one class, and this is called the laundry system. So we are going to start with the laundry. And I'm super excited for you to be here. I'm excited that this is your very first class in this course. And to me, the laundry was the bane of my existence for a very, very long time. So I felt like this is the one that we should start with first because maybe it's been the bane of your existence too. And I hope that we can fix that so that you can enjoy the laundry, like really enjoy it. I love doing laundry now. That sounds really odd, especially considering that I went for like over 8 years and I did not enjoy the laundry. But now I really do enjoy the laundry. And I enjoyed it as a mom once I figured out a good system. So you guys, I've got a handout that goes along with this video, a couple of different handouts and some links to pages that can teach you how to create some of the things that will help you put this system together. So, let me just tell you a little bit more about my life. I am a mom of 7 children and 23 grandchildren. So I've done a lot of laundry. And I learned some tips and tricks along the way to make things better so that I could handle the laundry and we didn't have dirty clothes or clean clothes that weren't folded laying all over the house, because that's what used to happen. I used to have piles of laundry in the corner, piles on my bed, piles everywhere that had been washed, but we just never got around to folding them and putting them away. And so this is going to help you a lot. So I'm going to give you a list of things that I feel would help you, tools and things that will help you to get your laundry in order. So the very first thing is you're going to decide how many children you have, and you're going to go and get a simple small laundry basket. It could be one at the dollar store. It doesn't have to be expensive. It could be a very small laundry basket and one for each child, and you're going to put it in their closet. So if you have children that share a room, you're just going to make sure that they each have a laundry basket in the closet. And I like to put it in the closet because then it's hidden away. If you need to stash it somewhere else, that's okay. But in the closet, at least, then it's not shown. Then you're going to purchase some kind of a laundry container for you and your husband's, or if you're single, for you alone, that you can keep in your master bathroom or in your master closet. The one that I use is a wicker laundry basket. It doesn't have a lid. I just like that because I can just throw them in. And so I usually keep that in my bathroom if I have a master bathroom that is close. But there's been some homes like the one I live in right now that there's not a master bathroom attached, but it's just around the corner. So I keep it in my bedroom. I would suggest that you also, if you have a main bathroom where your children take baths, I would suggest that you get a little wicker laundry basket or some type of a laundry basket and keep it in there as well. That way, whenever the children take off their clothes, whether they're downstairs in their bedrooms or upstairs in their bedrooms, and if they take it off in their room, they know they have to open the closet and stick it in the basket. If they're in your room and they happen to take off the clothes, they're not allowed to put their clothes in your laundry basket. Okay, that's a big no-no. You teach them to take their clothes out of your room and put them in the laundry basket in the bathroom. So the main bathroom where they take showers and baths, that can have a laundry basket and they can throw it in there. But the best thing for them to do is to put all their clothes in their own personal laundry basket in the closets. Okay. Now, the reason for this is because each child, you're going to be able to do each child's laundry on a different day. That is key to success in this system. So you can also buy a laundry system for the laundry room. Now, when my children were little, we had 7 laundry bins that my husband made out of PVC pipe, and they were all connected. And we had laundry bags that were connected to each one. So I had 2 children doubled up, the youngest 2 at the end. because I wanted one for towels, because invariably we'd have all kinds of towels laying around. So we did that. We put them in there. Now, to solve the towel problem, my kids were only allowed to change their towels once a week. Unless for some reason, something happened and the towel got excessively dirty, well, then we'd put it in the laundry bin. But if not, then they hung up their towel, and their towels, I made towels with their names on it, so I always knew who it was that had dropped their towel on the floor. And so I would tell them, okay, you need to go back and pick up your towel and hang it up. They learned that after their baths or any other time that they used their towel, they had to hang it up. And we had little hooks for them to hang it, because the towel racks, sometimes those don't work. Like, they just don't know how to fold them and hang them up. So we ended up using hooks on the back of the door. And then that way the nice towels can be on the rack and make them look pretty, and the kids know not to touch those. And they hang up their towels on the back of the door. That worked wonders for my family. Otherwise, I was complaining and fussing about the nice towels being on the floor all the time, and the kids not knowing how to fold them and put them away. So it just saved a lot of problems. I'm also kind of picky about how I like my towels folded and put away so that they look really nice. And so if the kids have their own towel, they had really nice ones with little hoodies on it when they were little. And as they got to be teenagers, we just made sure that we knew which ones. Sometimes I would sew a little piece of something on the side that would say their name, or we would mark it with a marker or something so that they could hang them on the back. And we got those nice little hooks that attach to the door. And I put a link in the paperwork for you for this class so that you can see which kind we got, because they were double racks. And so if you have a lot of kids, which we had 7, and they all used the same bathroom usually, except a couple of them used the downstairs one, but we had those on the back of the door to make it a lot easier. So if you've got these systems set up, then what you do is you designate 1 day a week for each child. And so let's say you've got your oldest child, let's say they're 10, and they're going to be on Monday, okay? And then the next one, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, okay? Now, I did laundry on Sunday. I tried not to, but I typically would put a load in that night, and then if I needed to, I would put it in. I would fold it and put it away right before church, or in the evening, I would put a load in so that Monday morning, the laundry would be ready for that day. I didn't do a lot, but I tried to do at least 1 load, because I found that if I skipped even 1 day, I would get behind with how big of a family we had. So although I didn't want to work and I didn't want to do anything, it helped to, or I didn't want to do things that were kind of work on Sunday. To me, it was more work to not do it than it was to do it. And I chose to do my husband and I's on Sunday, because that way I was taking care of my husband and getting everything ready so that Monday morning he always had fresh clothes and fresh garments and everything in his drawer Monday morning. So that worked out really good. Now, this is one of my favorite tips and tricks that I did. And I wish I had done this for every other chore in the house, but I didn't. I only did it for the laundry. And I will tell you why I wanted it for every other job, and I wish I could have done it that way. But you'll know now that you can start doing that with your family. So what I did is, when my children turned 10, I made it a big deal. From the time they were 8 until they were 10, I talked a lot about how exciting it was going to be when they turned 10, because then they were going to get to learn how to do their laundry. By the time they were 10, they were so excited they could hardly stand it, that they got to learn to do the laundry with Mom. And so when they were 10 years old, we would practice doing the laundry periodically, not every single week, but I would say, hey, come in here and help me. I want to share something with you. Or I would say, hey, Danielle, guess what? It's your day to do the laundry. Let's work on yours. And so I would help her understand how to use the laundry machines, how to, get the lint out of the dryer, and how to turn the knobs, and what types of things to do for each types of clothing. I'm not too picky on what type of water I use for my clothing, unless it's delicates or something. But a lot of the time, to save money, we just we just washed everything on cold. Unless it was like super, super dirty things or something like that, or extra whites that we really needed to get clean, then we might do on hot or warm water or something. But I taught my kids that way because it was easier and it helped them to get, it just made it easier for them to start doing their laundry. I did teach them certain things that would be better, possibly, but I told them that we were saving money, and so we were going to do it on cold most of the time. Especially when they're older, because when they're older, there's not as many, they don't get as dirty. You know, when they're little, sometimes you've got to wash in hot and warm or whatever to make sure things get clean. But when they're older, they don't get quite as soiled, and so it's, at least for my kids, and so it seemed like that was easier. But I did help them learn about the different types of laundry soap, powdered versus liquid, and you know what kinds of softener to use and things like that. And I shared with them what I liked best. And then as they learned, from 10 to 12 was the training time. And so for those 2 years, I was training them with their own laundry. And I didn't usually do their laundry, except that I helped them learn. So not every week. Sometimes I did it for them until they were 12. Once they turned 12, on their 12th birthday, I'd be like, oh my gosh, guess what? This is the day that you get to do your own laundry. Oh my gosh, this is so cool that you're old enough to do that. And they would get so excited. They would be like, really, Mom? I get to do mine today? And so they would get up and they would go into the laundry room that morning, and we would start their laundry, and I would watch them, and they would do it all. I wouldn't tell them what to do. I wouldn't step in. I would let them do it all. And they would be so proud. So proud. And from that day forward, I never did their laundry. Not ever. Not even if they ran out of clothing. Now, once in a while, when they were teenagers, if they would say, oh, Mom, I forgot to get my laundry out of the dryer. You know, will you put it on my bed, or will you stick it in the dryer for me? Sure, once in a while, I might do something like that if it's not a regular thing. Because I wanted to teach them that they were responsible for their own laundry. So if something happened and they woke up Monday morning and they didn't have any clothes, it was because they didn't do their laundry during the week. And that was their fault. And so they learned real quickly that they better not miss a laundry day, especially as they got older, because they wanted to look nice and they wanted to have clean clothes. They didn't want to be stinky, you know, all that kind of stuff. And they learned really quickly. And it was the best thing that I ever did, because as my children began to get older and they all began to get past that 12-year-old stage, my job and keeping up with the younger kids' laundry became easier and easier and easier. And all the kids liked it, because then they could do what they wanted with their laundry. Now, when they were very little, they would bring up their little baskets, and I would say, hey, Kellen, it's your laundry day. Go get your basket. And he'd get his basket and he'd bring it up, and I'd put it in, and we'd start it, and he'd watch me and stuff. And then we'd put it in the dryer when it needed to be. And I tried really hard to listen to the alarms and put the dryer in right away. And then as soon as it buzzed, I tried to put fold them and stick them in their basket. Then I would call him up again, and I would say, Kellen, guess what? Your laundry's done. Come on, come get your basket. And he'd come get his little basket, and he'd take it downstairs. And I had done a little bit of training so that he knew where to put his clothes. So when they were like between 3 and say 8 years old, they would have little stickers on their, or little either stickers or little signs of some type that we'd made that would go on their dresser drawers, so they would know this is where you put your socks, this is where you put your pajamas, this is where you put your shirts and your pants and your underwear and stuff like that. So they always knew which drawer it went in. And I was a little bit particular. I liked to have them fold them nice. I didn't want them just shoving everything in. I wanted it folded. So I taught them how to fold them so that they would fit properly in the drawers, because if they didn't fold it, sometimes it would explode, and then we'd have a drawer broken because it wasn't going back and forth properly. So I taught them how to do that so that they could be nice and neat in their drawers. And I rewarded them for having nice, neat drawers. I would check periodically And then we had a little chart, and I would reward them for if they had nice, neat drawers. So when they were little, they really loved getting those rewards. And as they got older, I didn't have to do that much because they just liked it and they did it. And by the time they were 12, I didn't say anything about their laundry anymore. They could choose if they wanted to live out of a basket, they lived out of a basket. It wasn't my favorite thing to do. I wanted them hung up and put in the drawers, but by the time they were 12, I let them choose what they wanted to do. So, and I told them, I think it's a good idea for you to fold them and put them away because they stay nice and neat and they're not wrinkled. And you hang up your dress shirts and dress clothes. That is a must. I did tell them that they needed to do that so that they looked nice on Sundays. But every other thing, if they decided they were going to live out of a basket and they didn't want to put their clothes away, as long as they were, folded nice in their basket and it was, taken care of, then that was fine. That was fine. I didn't bug them. But most of my kids decided after a while living out of a basket wasn't so fun because they couldn't find things easily, and it was just sometimes it didn't work because then where are they going to put their dirty clothes? So they learned that pretty fast, and I would not tolerate dirty clothes on the floor. So it's kind of strict about that. If I came down and find dirty clothes on the floor, then they got marked off on our chart and they didn't earn as many points. And we had a point system for how our children earned their rewards at the end of the week or their paydays at the end of the week. So back to the little kids. Once they brought their basket up and we did their laundry and they folded it and they put it downstairs, then that was the end of the day. Every single evening, I would start a load of laundry. So when the kids were really little, sometimes I would start it on my own without them and I would just get it done. But then they were always required to fold it and put away unless they were younger than 3. But I always got in the habit of in the evenings starting a load right before I went to bed in the washer. And then the next morning when I would get up with my husband at 6 o'clock, I'd make breakfast. And while breakfast was cooking or after I put it on the table, I would go and I would take the clothes and put it from the washer to the dryer. So that by 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning, everything was done in the dryer and I was able to fold and put away that child's clothes for that day if they were younger than 3. If they were older than 3, then I would tell them to come up and they could take their little basket downstairs and put it away. If they were 12 or older, and it was their day, then I would tell them, okay, it's your turn to do the laundry. You can bring your laundry up if you want to, to start something. Now, once they got to be about 13 and they'd had about a year's worth of doing their own laundry, I didn't remind them anymore. If they didn't remember, they didn't remember. And it was just I just would go to bed instead of starting a load because it was their night to do it or their day to do it. They could decide what time of day they wanted to do their laundry. But for me, oftentimes it was easier for them to do it at night because then we got it all done. But it was their choice. And we homeschooled so they could do it any time of the day. And it didn't really bother me because we were just doing one load. Now, because I doubled up on my younger kids, sometimes like Fridays, we would do 2 loads. And then Saturdays I would do towels or once in a while sheets, stuff like that. But that's how I got around having the big piles. Once I began to do this system, I never had piles of clothes sitting around. I never had problems with not getting the laundry done. And it was just simple and easy. And on Saturday nights or Sunday nights, I would usually by 5 o'clock Sunday, if I hadn't done our load Sunday night or Saturday night and folded it Sunday morning, then I would do it Sunday night and fold and put it away early in the morning Monday. So my husband always had fresh things in his drawer. And he used to tell me all the time, I love that I have a magic drawer. It's always full. He used to tell me that. He loved that. So anyways, those are some of the tricks and tips that I have used to help get our laundry in order. And it was so lovely as my kids got older to know that they were taking care of it. And as you know, the older they got, pretty soon it was just me and my husband that I had to take care of, because all the kids were 12 and older, and I didn't have to worry about anybody else's laundry except ours. Now, one thing the kids used to tease us about is that we always miss socks. You know how you get missing socks? You don't know why, but they're just always missing one. Always one, right? So we would always have a sock basket. And if somebody couldn't find the other match, they'd toss it in the sock basket. And after a while, the sock basket would get kind of full, and we would search a little bit and still couldn't find the missing socks. So then we would have a puppet day, and we would make puppets out of our missing socks. And that was a lot of fun for the kids. They enjoyed doing that, and they enjoyed having puppet shows and things like that. So that was a lot of fun. But they teased me all the time about having a sock basket. And my husband would tease me all the time about a sock basket. And we just never knew where those socks went. They just disappeared. And I bet your family is like that too. I don't know. I don't like to throw them away right away, because I like to check to see if maybe they'll show up. And sometimes they did, but most of the time they didn't. So that was our way of not wasting socks and having a good time with our missing socks. Okay, so let me see if there's anything else. Oh, so my husband and I, we always made sure that our laundry was separate. When we were first married, and I just kind of put everybody's laundry together, and it was so overwhelming because I could never find our laundry. I never knew where anything was. By doing this, I was able to know exactly where each child's laundry was. Like if for some reason, a child couldn't find something, then I knew if it wasn't in their bin or in their little basket, it was probably in the bathroom basket. But if they needed something, we could always find it. But for my husband and I, it was atrocious for us to keep our clothes with the kids' laundry. It was just awful. And we wanted our clothes to stay nice. And so, we didn't want them in with all the kids' muddy clothes or whatever. And so we kept ours totally separate. That helped a lot, because it also helped me to, and I think we have an LDS audience mostly for this group, and so I'm going to share this with you. So trying to keep our garments white, I found that it is so much easier if you just make sure that you always put them in by themselves. If you wash them with any kind of colored clothes, you are going to pretty soon not have white garments. And so for us, that was our way of always keeping our garments white. And, even over time, they get a little dingy, but they stayed white a lot longer if we would do that. And this helped us so that we could always keep our garments like respected. We felt like typically our clothes weren't very soiled, and so we didn't feel bad having our garments mixed in with other clothing, but we felt like it helped to keep our clothes from getting thrown on the floor or anything else. There were times when we mixed in with the other kids that sometimes they'd pull everything out of the basket to try to find something, and then the next thing we know, our clothes would be on the floor and our garments would be on the floor, and that just wasn't okay with us. So it helped a lot to keep everything in our own baskets and in our own room. So this was the way that I learned how to do the laundry that could create a system for me that worked wonderful. And I probably don't wash sheets as often as maybe some people do, especially with a lot of kids. But I didn't wash them every week, but I usually would do them once a month. So on those days, I would have the kids strip their beds and bring it back up. And then usually they needed help to put the sheets back on, because those fitted sheets are kind of tricky until they got old enough to where they could be strong enough to pull them over the mattress. But if I did once a month, it seemed like we could keep on top of that a little bit better too. So anyway, that is my system, you guys. And let's see if there's anything I've missed for you. When the kids are really super little, oftentimes I will help the little ones learn how to fold socks so that they feel like they're getting a chance to help with the laundry. Sometimes they get really excited about that. And so I would oftentimes, have them help me with my socks, folding my socks or folding their own socks or something like that. While another thing that I did is I had I learned this from a lady who had 12 children, who also learned from a lady who had 14 kids. And this was, I asked her one day, how do you get your kids to church and they look so nice and their hair's all curled and they just look beautiful and you're all put together and you've got matching clothes and everything looks nice and your kids have ties and, matching socks. How do you do that? And she said that she had a system. Each older child had a younger child that they were buddies with. And so that older child would always take care of the younger child. So in the evenings, on Saturday evening before church, they would say, okay, guys, grab your buddies, go find your shoes and your socks and your church clothes and lay them all out. And they would go down, the big buddy would get the little buddy, and they would go down and they would help them find their shoes and find their clothes. And they would lay them all out nice and neat the night before so that they always could find their clothes, so that Sunday morning wasn't crazy. Because you know how that is when you can't find the shoes and can't find the socks, and it's like at the last minute and you're running around all over the place and you're crazy and you feel like contention is building because you're frustrated, they're frustrated, and you can't find anything. And that's no fun. That is no fun to have Sundays like that. And so I took that to heart, and oftentimes either I would help lay their clothes out or we'd do the buddy system and they would do that. The other thing too is when they're doing the laundry with the little ones, sometimes if I needed some help, I would say, hey, Brandon, go get your buddy. It's his laundry day. Could you please go get him and help him find his little basket and bring it up to do the laundry for mom? And he'd be like, okay, mom. And he'd go get his buddy and he'd, help him along and bring him up. And that way it would help us to keep that buddy system going. My older kids loved this because they felt really special that they got to be the buddy of the younger ones. And they felt honored. They felt really excited that they got to be a buddy. And the little ones thought it was awesome because their big brother or sister was helping them. And we always had the same buddies paired with each child. So if I said, get your buddies, they knew immediately who they were supposed to get. And it helped us because when we were going someplace, if there was somebody without a buddy, an older one without a buddy, I knew, oh my gosh, we're missing the younger child. Where is he or she, And we could gather them all together. And I wish I'd learned this a little bit sooner because I didn't learn it until some of my kids were a little bit older. But it would have helped me tremendously had I learned it when they were very young. And so if you start this off when they're very little, they're going to love it. They're going to love it so much, and they're going to feel really close to each other. My kids got closer the more that they helped one another and the more that they served one another. It was an incredible opportunity to do this, especially as a homeschooling family. We worked hard to have good relationships in our family, and we worked hard to help them build those relationships and help one another. Now, I'm going to teach you another system next time called 21 Pickup, and I'm going to give you some ideas on how to get the rest of your home picked up and organized. And that will be lesson number 2. So today, if you have any questions about the laundry system, which is for class number 1, then please go to the Facebook group, which is in your email, and it's also on the class document for this class, and it will tell you the Facebook group. So go to your Facebook group and write down any questions that you have, and we'll be happy to answer them for you so that you can get support and help and ideas from anybody else along the way. I would love to hear some of your ideas and some of your things that have helped you to learn to love to do the laundry. The other thing that we're going to talk about is energy. And everything in life has energy. Everything. We're filled with energy. Our homes are energy. When you have piles and piles and piles of laundry laying around, that stops the flow of energy in your home. So taking time to work this system and be consistent with it, that is the key. Consistency. Create a good habit and a good pattern, and you won't get behind. You won't. You'll be able to keep on top of it. You'll be able to work through it, and it will help a lot. I did not allow, one other thing I want to talk about, I did not allow my kids to pull blankets out of the cupboards and just randomly use them and get them all dirty. I didn't allow them to do that. They had blankets on their bed. They had one little throw blanket at the end of their bed that they were allowed to snuggle with and cuddle with. And they usually got a blanket at Christmas time sometimes. And if they did that, then they had an extra little blanket that they could use. But I did not want dirty blankets in the laundry. So we worked really hard to make sure that things stayed clean. And if they were the ones that made the blankets messy, they washed them. Because mom should not have to do everything. I'm a firm believer in that. Mom should not have to do everything for everyone in the house. It makes mom's life really challenging and really difficult and sometimes very depressing if we're the ones that have to do everything for 9 people in the household, which is what I would have had. And sometimes I had other people living with me. So that would have been even more difficult if I was helping somebody else. And so everyone is responsible for their own things in our home. Everybody was responsible for picking up after themselves and taking care of their own belongings, learning to be a good steward. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that in other videos, but today is video number 1. So thank you so much for being a part of our Chaos to Order program. And I would love to have your feedback and to know what you think about this system and how this system is working for you. So please post your ideas and your comments in the Facebook page. Thank you so much, guys, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Happy organizing. Bye-bye.